Outside of a few Nickelodeon games and specials, the Loud House has never done a proper crossover, especially not with a third party. And even when Nick does loan their franchises to other companies, the Loud House tends to get out-prioritized. So if it were to get a third-party crossover, what do you think they would go with? If I got to pick, it would probably be Pokemon. I mean, come on, my avatar is a Drifloon. But it'd be super easy and fun to pick a Pokemon for each character based on their personalities and interests. Of course, this happening officially would be next to impossible. Nick would likely choose one of its big three instead, and the Pokemon Company is notoriously protective of how the brand is utilized. But for now, let's just ignore that. I'll admit, the decision to make this was inspired by a similar video the Real Gyms did just a few months ago, but I wanted to give the concept a try for myself. I thought it might be a nice break from the negativity and the heavy analytics of the retrospectives, and just do a nice romp through a fun subject. Though we don't have a Real Gyms budget for this in order to get lots of fancy artwork, so we're gonna have to work with what we can find. Now, let's get this started. First up, of course, is our man with the plan, and we're gonna give Lincoln a Charizard. It's an iconic part of the brand, just like him, it's rocking that orange coloration, and he already has plenty of experience with dragons. And given that a previous protagonist had one, it'd be fitting for our protagonist to follow in his footsteps. This piece of art really sold me on this concept. Look how excited Lincoln is to have this big, cool dragon, and the smug, confident demeanor it has is all the more fitting. Now, if we want to explore a different idea, we can lean into more of his interests and give him an Intellion. It's a secret agent, just like David Steele, and represents the 2010s just like Lincoln does. Or if we want to look back to the show's earlier days, let's pull a card from Ace Savvy's deck and give him a shiny Palafin. Dolphins are intelligent and adaptable, just like Lincoln himself, and a cool superhero that dispenses justice is right up his alley. It even shares most of its color scheme with that of Ace Savvy, only missing the yellow, while the base form is a nice purple that could call back to Lincoln's old shirt color back when he and his family were still rabbits. And Palafin's entire gimmick of zero to hero would no doubt resonate with him. And though it's technically a mammal, a muscular aquatic animal could even double as a sort of reference to musclefish, one of Lincoln's more obscure interests. If we're gonna give Lincoln a starter, I think it's only fitting that we give one to Clyde as well. We're gonna give him a Meowscarada, or maybe a Floragato if his parents are concerned about the dark typing. The way this thing performs fits Clyde's energy, and we know that fancy refined felines are a staple of the McBride household. We could also dip into his cooking skills, and given that his specialty is his fancy desserts, what better choice than an Alchemy? Clyde's an honest kid, so he'd have no trouble gaining Alchemy's trust, and the two could make some incredible sweets together. And the species is highly prized among pastry chefs, so he's got a real gem on his hands. For Lori, we could easily just give her a Rotom phone, but let's do something a little more interesting. Golf has plenty of lingo named after birds, such as eagle and albatross, so despite having left the golf profession behind, I think it'd be fun to give her a bird. Birds were also a symbol of social media at one point, and like Lori herself, they're known for long-distance travel. So with that in mind, we're gonna give her a Wattrel. Lori's decided to enter the world of childcare, so getting the chance to raise a young bird would be a good experience for her. And the experience she already has would allow her to handle such an upbeat and energetic electric type. It'd also be able to charge her phone for her, which is a perk that she would very much appreciate. Most would expect something straightforward and cute for Lenny, but we're gonna go a little more off the wall here. Let's give Lenny a Tarantula. This adorable little bug is a big ball of yarn, and said yarn is extremely durable, both of which would be extremely appealing to a girl who loves to make clothes. And being a tarantula, it harkens back to Frances from Along Came a Sister, which Lenny bonded with and fought to protect. So her new friend could help her overcome her fear of spiders as a whole. Or if we want something a little more straightforward, we could always give her a Gardevoir as well. Mostly because this picture was just too adorable not to use. Now with Luna, the choice is clear. Absolutely anything that can rock out and play it loud. Exploud comes to mind first and foremost. It's a living amplifier that would be fun and helpful during her concerts. though I think Toxtricity would be the most fitting choice. It's a rockstar Pokemon from Galar, their world's equivalent to Britain, which is perfectly up Luna's alley, even if her Teobu tendencies aren't as prominent as they used to be. Hell, its signature ability is literally called Punk Rock, and its signature move is a supercharged guitar strum. On that route, another interesting choice could be its fellow Galarian bandmate Obstagoon. It shares Luna's rock and roll attitude, paying homage to Gene Simmons of the band Kiss. And we all know that the show used to have its own parody of the band. And if we don't go with it for Luna, then it'd be a fitting choice for Chunk as well. There's no question about Luann's pick either. We're gonna give her a Mr. Mime. It's literally the perfect Pokemon for her. The two share the same goofy demeanor and appearance. She's known for her proficiency in both the miming and clowning arts, and Mr. Mime's design perfectly covers both. I can definitely see these two performing together on stage or at kids' parties, or having Mime act as a stagehand during Luann's plays, assisting the students even using its air barriers to create special effects. And if for whatever reason we wanted an alternative, it'd definitely be a Slowking, for the sole reason that it gets the move Chilly Reception, a move where the Pokemon in question literally tells a bad joke. Now for Lynn, she has to have a Pokemon related to sports. Cinderace is the first choice that comes to mind. It's a very adaptable soccer player just like her, and it'd be a fun reference to the show's original concept about a family of rabbits. Lincoln already has different choices locked in, so we gotta give it to someone. On the other hand, Passimian would be another fun option, being a seldom utilized Pokemon that's themed around football, another sport Lynn has played. Building on that, we could even give her a Blaziken, in reference to the Royal Woods Roosters, and being a farm animal, it doubles as a nod to her friendship with Liam. Giving Lucy some sort of ghost type seems like the most natural choice. I've seen her paired with Litwick in particular in a lot of fan art, in part due to her tendency to light candles during her quote-unquote rituals. As long as the little guy doesn't do anything malicious, it'd make for a cute little dynamic. In the event that her father won't let her keep a ghost, another fun option would be Gotharita. Based on Gothic fashion, its evolution line is known to be able to see visions of the future, something we see Lucy do in both old and new episodes. Its final form, Gothitelle, can even sense the lifespans of others, giving it a very detached outlook and grave acceptance of the concept of death, a mindset Lucy is all too familiar with. We even have art of her dressed up as one. It'd be such a good match, and you know it. Being a known animal expert and keeper of critters, there is no shortage of options for Lana. The first thing that comes to mind, of course, would be a Poliwag, Krogunk, or another small frog, since Hops is pretty much her sidekick and she has a great affinity for the animals. But something I want to avoid with this concept is giving a character a Pokemon that outright replaces the niche of an existing animal sidekick or butts heads with it, which is why a smaller frog wouldn't be the best choice. It's the same reason why I didn't give Lucy a Zubat, or why I wouldn't choose a snake for Lana instead, since that steps on El Diablo's toes. If you want to give her something frog-like then I'd probably go with a Seismitoad. Being a huge toad does enough to separate him from Hops, and his ground typing would allow him to create mud puddles for Lana to play in. Now, an alternative could be to give her a dragon of sorts, given her affinity for reptiles along with the inquisitiveness she showed toward Lochloud's history with them. I don't know if I'd trust a 7-year-old with a full-on Garchomp, but it'd be cool to see her raise her own dragon from an egg, like a Dreepy or a Dino. Would also tie into the sort of mentor-student relationship she and Lincoln have, since we're more than likely giving him a big dragon. We could even dive into Lana's love of racing and automobile maintenance, and give her a Revavroom. Its pre-evolution is associated with scrap and junkyards, something Lana is more than familiar with. And come on, it's the car Pokemon. The perfect match. Lana's always been a very multifaceted character, even since the beginning, and it really shows in the sheer breadth of ideas here. Now, for Lola, on the other hand, the choice is clear. We're giving her a Galarian Rapidash. Just look at this design. It's a fairy tale unicorn. This is as pretty pink princess as it gets. I can see her waving to her adoring fans while riding on its back, the majestic mint and magenta mane fluttering in the breeze. It even doubles as a reference to Eunice, her favorite stuffed animal. But if we want to look at some alternatives, a poltergeist would be fun, either helping Lola with her tea parties or simply creating antics, and I can only imagine the reaction if she found out it wasn't authentic. There's also this piece of art that puts a tyrant in her party, which is an interesting choice. Normally I don't like the whole scary Lola archetype, but at the same time, the chance to see these two bratty royals butting heads would be difficult to pass up. Given how much of a role that science plays within the Pokemon series, it means that Lisa's brimming with options of her own. The first thing that came to mind would be some kind of support steel type, such as a member of the Magnemite or Clink lines, someone that can withstand the electrical currents that would easily fry Todd's circuitry. One of the future Paradox forms would also be hilarious, especially Iron Moth, given that the tabloids suggested to be a UFO or surveillance satellite, and we all know Lisa's very sketchy history with those. Maybe a fossil Pokemon if you want to reference her Season 5 antics, or maybe a Reuniclus or some other member of the Solosis line for some Flubber-esque antics. But above all, I think we're gonna give her a Porygon 2. It seems right up her alley, an artificial Pokemon that she can perfect, one that can act as her assistant in the digital world like how Todd is in the physical world. And I fully expect her to accidentally evolve it into a Porygon Z at some point in the story due to a careless experiment. But she'd still love it all the same. And while we're at it, we're giving Darcy a Giraffe-a-rig. Farigiraffe's head would be a little too scary for her. And then we have Lily, who has a pretty clear option in mind from the get-go. She loves to paint, why not a Smeargle? As fun as Smeargle is, it's pretty much the go-to pick for artistic characters in these kind of crossovers, so let's do something a little more unique. We're going to give Lily a Shroodle. A little artist for little Lily. Shroodle are known to make paint markings on trees and rocks, just like Smeargle, so it works just as well. And its evolution Grafaiai literally finger paints just like Lily does, so it's a good match. Furthermore, the graffiti punk influence of Grafaiai's design is all the more fitting when you see this rather bizarre look they decided to give to older Lily. Who was the bad influence on who? Pokemon is no stranger to the world of cooking, so Lynn's got an entire menagerie to choose from. One of the elemental monkeys would make for a great sous chef, or how about all three? They're heavily associated with cooking in the main series already, and their most well-known users are a trio of chefs. Or how about a Bayleaf? It's already named after a pantry staple. Tropius would be a little big for a kitchen, but super useful for providing free produce, and Lynn really cares about saving money on his tropical fruits. You could even throw in an Ackley, since they're known to share their salt with the people that befriend it, their salt doubling as a way of warding off evil spirits. Both of which are very useful to a master chef who's afraid of ghosts. And their salt heals, so it'd be an easy way to patch up cuts and other injuries in the kitchen. Rita was a tough one to figure out. There's no particular Pokemon tied to writing stories or newspaper articles, and we don't want to decide based on something super basic like our color scheme. So I decided to dig a little deeper into her other interests to find a good fit, and I remembered something interesting. Naughty or Nice revealed that Rita is a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and given the effort she went in to complete their set of Nutcrackers, that passion is evident. Which is why we're going to give her a Wartortle. Pokemon has loads of options for turtles, but Wartortle was one of the only choices agile enough to imitate their fighting style, and Rita is a very youthful person, always trying to connect with her kids, so a middle stage evolution feels like something she'd go for. And if we want to expand our scope of turtles instead, a Torterra could suffice. Rita likes being out in nature. I can see her finding comfort in sitting on Torterra's back, enjoying a fun picnic. Now to take things to the supporting cast. Flip's an easy one. We're giving him a Garbodor. I considered giving him a Zigzagoon, but again, we want to avoid direct replacements. Nonetheless, we know that Flip is a slob and hoards all sorts of junk to resell, taking dumpster dives on a regular basis, so he'd have no issues with keeping a sapient pile of trash around. And on top of that, he has a propensity toward laziness and taking shortcuts. Why do the dumpster diving yourself when you've got someone to do it for you? Alternatively, he'd appreciate having a Vanillish around to supply free ice for his Flippies. There's also this hilarious piece of art of him with Ultra Necrozma, but there's no way in hell we're giving him a legendary. And if we're feeling devious, then maybe a Mudkip would suit him well. Mr. Grouse's love of gardening is frequently glimpsed at throughout the series, especially when the antics of his neighbors interfere with his craft. So at first I thought, why not give him a flower Pokemon to help him out? Something like Blossom or Sunflora feels right up his alley. His yard gets a lot of sunlight, so they'd be easy to take care of. But there's an even better pick waiting in the wings. In Season 8, we learn that Mr. Grouse, as a kid, used to be all in on the doo-wop rockabilly culture of the 50s and early 60s. Thus, we're gonna give him a Squawkabilly. Now, you may think that a Pokemon known for being extremely noisy would be an ill fit for a Grouch like Mr. Grouse, but the more I looked at it, the more in common these two had. Parrots are known to be exceptionally long-lived, fitting for an elderly character, and the white plumage form matches his color scheme nicely. This form of Squawkabilly is known to be the most mellow of the bunch, which Mr. Grouse would be more than fine with. Squawkabilly hate to be alone, something that Mr. Grouse can absolutely relate to, and their sociable nature fits in nicely with his propensity to get around town. Seeing this man bark a complaint only for his parrot to repeat it would drive everyone crazy, and that's just too funny. If it's anything Rusty's more proud of than anything, it's his hair, or as he calls it, his fiery mane. How about we give him a Pokemon with a literal fiery mane? Rusty would absolutely go for something super cool and imposing, but would absolutely have no idea how to control it, being yet another example of his hilarious overconfidence. But if it's anything else Rusty is known for, at least recently, it's his love of singing. Sure, it isn't good as singing, but being paired with a Pokemon known for its powerful voice, they could absolutely find some common ground there. Stella's always been fascinated with mechanical devices, from her antique music box to her impressive science projects, so there's one particular Pokemon she'd be fascinated with above all else: Magearna. It's cute and ornate, just like her grandmother's music box, and I could definitely see Stella fixing her up like an old antique as a way of bonding with her. Not to mention that Stella loves rabbits, and Magearna's rocking those massive bunny ears. But as great as this matchup is, I'm a little iffy on it, since I largely want to avoid giving out mythicals and legendaries, so if we instead go for the alternative, a cute rabbit like Buneary or Bunnelby sounds right up her alley. Or maybe even a cast form. Stella runs the weather report for the Action News team, so it'd be a cute companion to add even more pep to her broadcasts. Where do we even begin with Liam? He's got great choices 7 ways to Sunday, much in part due to the prevalence of Pokemon ranches throughout the series. Miltank, Oinkologne, Grumpig, maybe a Go-Goat to represent Carol Ann, or a member of the Wooloo or Mareep lines. Or we could take the comedic option and give him specifically 4 shiny Lechonks to represent his 4 finest piglets. Honestly, I don't even know which one to choose. I guess I lean a little towards Dubwool, as Honeycut Farms doesn't have any rams, and it's a soccer sheep, so it connects back to Liam's connection to Lynn. Zach's choice is so easy that we'll keep it brief. This kid's getting a BM. He's the alien kid. If anyone could communicate with one, it would be him. I can already see it playing sort of General Blork-esque role like in Love Me Tender, looking hilariously unemotive in every scene and using its unique light language to help Zach mess with Rusty a bit. Keep in mind that this thing can also rewrite memories, so be careful Zach, you're playing with fire. And speaking of fire, Crocolore will be our Pokemon of choice for our friend Bobby Santiago. The design goes all out with the Mexican inspiration, and with Bobby now running a mercado in Mexico itself, it'd be the perfect mascot for the business. The round design and goofy demeanor are a good fit for Bobby's sillier side, and his absent-mindedness smashes quite nicely with a Pokemon that gets the ability Unaware. These two would be such a laid-back and fun duo. Bobby's even shown himself to be a decent musician, and given Crocolore's love of singing, this would make for a great duet. And going back to the design, this Paldean Pokemon has a sombrero made of fire, which doubles as a nest with a bird's egg. And who did we give a young Paldean bird to? If it's something Pop-Pop is proud of, it's his service in the military, and he's implied to have served in multiple branches, from the Army to the Navy, the Air Force, given that he taught Rita how to fly planes, and even research and development. which is why we're gonna give him an Octillery. It's a water-type Pokemon with a military theme. The design was built to resemble a stationary artillery cannon, and its old design from Gold and Silver's development has it donning an army helmet and tank-like armor, so it's a multi-branch powerhouse just like Pop-Pop himself. It's also known to be docile and chill when domesticated, which he'd absolutely appreciate. Thankfully, Sunset Canyon has a pool to keep its swimming muscles in shape, and I'd love to see it nail Scoots with an Octazooka. I mean, who wouldn't? Having a family has always been Myrtle's biggest desire, and while she's ultimately achieved this, there's a Pokemon that embodies this desire perfectly. We're gonna give her a Tandemaus. Myrtle's doting in Instagram shows that she's pretty fond of cute things. She's not all spy all the time. And the plush look on Tandemaus resembles the kind of thing a grandmother would knit. The two mice are also a male-female bonded pair, so I could see them doing some cute moments with her and Pop-Pop based on something the mice are doing. And to round things off for now, we'll end off with someone a little more off the wall. Mr. Ballhoffner is known to be a rugged, tough-as-nails survivalist who knows his way around hostile terrain and can even wrestle bears single-handed. With that in mind, we're gonna give him a Beartic. If anyone can match his tenacity, it'd be a polar bear. Hell, he probably caught it by wrestling it himself. No other Pokemon needed. The Ice-type may be frail, but these two would still be an intimidating duo in any battle. All in all, I wanted to do this video as a way of stepping away for a bit and taking a deep breath, given the current state of the show and the near constant discourse surrounding it. And given that this year will be lighter on the retrospective side of things, I thought it'd be a good time to give one of my side videos a go. There's plenty of ideas waiting for their chance in the oven, from an analysis and fix of Time Trap's alternate history, to a dedicated video busting the show's common misconceptions, with even a discussion of the show's plush sets in the mix. I'll get to those eventually, but for now, what are some of your favorite duos featured in this video? Are there any combos that you do differently? And what would you choose for the other characters that I didn't cover? This kind of crossover will likely never happen, but that won't stop us from having a little fun.